Hello and welcome to this video. This is another part of my sneak preview series on my book in progress, The Ultimate Guide to Bach's Goldberg Variations for Amateurs and Professionals. In this particular video, I'm going to talk about just one variation, and that is variation 3, and I'm going to talk a little about the canons and what a canon is and what I'm doing with the canons in this new book in progress, which I'm really excited about. Okay, so in the Goldberg variations, it consists of 30 variations. There's an aria, which is a theme that provides the groundwork or the basis for all the 30 variations. You go through 30 variations, then you have the aria again at the end, the theme at the end, because Bach loved symmetry. He loved the symmetrical organization of things, not just in this, but in cantatas as well. You can see that. Sometimes he has the same first and last movements and so forth. Anyway, that's another topic entirely. But every third variation, every 3 variations in those 30 variations are what's known as a canon. A canon, let me just explain that to you if you don't know what a canon is. It's spelled with one N, C-A-N-O-N. A musical canon is like a leader and a follower. So think of when you sang "Row, row, row your boat" as a child in school. One group starts, row, row, row your boat, and then after a bar or so, or after one phrase, then the next person or the next group starts in and sings exactly the same thing, but it's offset by one phrase. And that phrase might vary from canon to canon depending on what the time signature is. So basically what Bach has done in the Goldberg variations is every third variation he writes a canon. So for example, also I want to add that canon is always at an interval that follows the beginning. So let's say if the melody begins like in variation 3, which I'm discussing in this video, canon at the unison, the melody starts on B and it goes, okay, that's the first measure of it, very slowly. Well, it starts on B. Well then what he does, the canon at the unison, a unison is the same note. What that is the next lower part will come in later. So what he has and then he comes in with the left hand. The left hand does the same thing as the right hand. But here's the thing. Bach doesn't do this with hands separately. He does the canon in one hand. So every third variation, you have a canon. The right hand plays the canon. Sometimes it travels into the left hand area, but regardless, you have 2 parts above. That's the canon. And then you have a part below, which is the bass accompaniment. And that's usually a faster flowing line. So you have a left hand by itself, which is not related to the canon. That's more related to the bass progression of the aria. So you have the bass, the left hand plays the accompaniment, the right hand plays the canon. So you're playing 2 parts, 2 voices in one hand, 1 voice in the other hand. This is not easy. It is not easy at all. The canons are pretty difficult. Canons are pretty difficult in the Goldberg variations, except for a couple of them are manageable by perhaps intermediate level pianists. So my goal is to bring these down to the level that intermediate pianists can understand and practice, and piano teachers can use these for their students. And the way that I've done this is for every canon at the unison, and then variation 6 is canon at the second, variation 9 is canon at the third, variation 12 is canon at the fourth, and so forth. So every third variation you go up, he has the interval increases by 1 step. So the one at the unison here, variation 3, is, I think, particularly awkward. It's an awkward variation, but what I've done in these canon sort of simplifications is I've taken what's normally played with the right hand. Okay, this is the original. That's just the first half. That is not easy. Not everyone can do this. This is difficult piano music. So what I've done, and by the way, that's all with a left-hand accompaniment that has rolling 16th notes in the left hand at the time that you have the canon in the right hand. Now, what I've done is I've taken that. I've taken what just the right hand plays by itself, and I have broken that up into 2 staves right here, or two lines. So the right hand is playing this, and then the left hand is going to play what the right hand usually plays. The reason for this is that this will make it very manageable for intermediate level pianists and students and teachers to approach this and to really learn what the canon is and how it sounds. So what I've done is, in this one at the unison, I'm following with the left hand. The right hand starts here. And then what's normally played with the right hand will start on that same B. So what I've done is I play it with the left hand, but in this particular canon, and in the first few canons when they're close together, when the interval is very close, it's very awkward because your hands will run into each other. So what I do in this one and in the next couple canons that I'll show you in upcoming videos is I transpose that down an octave. So it's canon at the unison, but for practical purposes we're going to play it, practice it like canon at the octave. And this will make it much more manageable. Okay, now I'm going to play this all the way through without repeats. And listen carefully. You can hear the right hand is going to play, then the left hand will follow with exactly the same material as the right hand. 2, 3, 1. Into the second half. perfect canon between the hands. It's almost like playing a two-part invention. This is very beneficial for students and teachers because it teaches the students the sound of the canon between the hands. Even if you're separating it by an octave, as I do here for practical purposes, you're getting the sound in your ear. So eventually when, after you have that worked out and you have that sound in your ear, eventually the student can play the original. Because it will be in your ear. You have to work out fingerings and things. But the student will have learned all of the sounds in their ear, and it will have time to really materialize in the musical mind. So I'm also toying or experimenting with the idea in this new book of having teacher and student duets. I'm trying to figure out how I'll do it with this, because when you transpose one part down an octave, it will run into the left hand. So what I'm trying to do, what my goal in this Ultimate Guide to Bach's Goldberg Variations book, is that in all of these 9 canons, which I'm going to have that in a section, I'm working on somehow working it out to where the teacher can play the left hand, and then the student can play the canon with both hands. And so what you get is the final product will sound like the original, but it's broken up between 2 people. And especially when the student plays the canon broken between the hands, students learn what canons are, they learn to play polyphonic music. In fact, these are, I think, even a little more enjoyable than the two-part inventions. So the benefits are exactly what you get from practicing the two-part inventions. I think they're even, some of them are even more enjoyable than the two-part inventions, in my opinion. So this is what I'm working on, is the canons rearranged for intermediate level pianists, so students and teachers can fully realize what they are. Otherwise, if you take the original, nobody can play that. Nobody, no intermediate student can play Variation 3. And there's no reason to think that they can. So the goal is to work them up to that and to get them to understand what the canons are and to offer these easier alternatives to playing the music in its original form. They aren't dumbed down, but they're just simplified a little because they're broken up between the hands. So this is a little preview here on Variation 3. Stay tuned, and I will have more on canons in upcoming sneak preview videos.